All right, so all you CrossFitters out there, actually pretty much everybody out there, complains of trap tightness. And in CrossFit, you see all these guys with big bulky traps. They're always tight. They got pain. And this is something that is very near and dear to my heart. I love talking about this. I love geeking out about this. And one of the main reasons, or some of the things that can come about because you have trap tightness, chronic tightness, obviously. We can get headaches and neck pain. And then also, it just diminishes our ability to use our shoulders when we have these chronic tightness. One of the biggest reasons that we have this is because of our breathing patterns. And I know people think that, whatever, they roll their eyes when I talk about breathing patterns, but we can needle, we can beat up on those traps all we want, but if we don't correct a pattern of breath work, those traps are just chronically going to be tight because they are secondary breathing muscles. And they are not only doing the job of moving our shoulders and moving our neck and holding weight, but now they're asking them to aid us in breathing. So if we can get our belly breath better, we are going to go a long ways in making sure that those traps aren't that tight. The other thing is shoulder stability. So I love talking about the shoulder blade because the shoulder blade is a really unique a muscle or a unique structure. So there's not a whole lot of bony connection to the rest of the body with the shoulder, but the shoulder blade has a ton of muscle attachment to the spine, the ribs, the sternum, and other things that allow it to have stability, have control, so that our shoulder joint can have a ton of free range of motion. So if we are over dominant in our traps, it just pulls our shoulder blade up into a non efficient way for that shoulder to move. We get pinching in the shoulder blade or in the shoulder joint, and then we just chronically overuse these traps and we get tight. And another reason that we get a lot of shoulder tightness or trap tightness is because we are simply just lifting too much weight, right? It's the best muscle to compensate when things get heavy, right? So we have a kind of a joke in here when you know that you've reached the right amount of weight or just too much, you're going to start getting this lip quiver. It's really funny because pretty much everybody does it, but really what that is just showing that we're trying to utilize other muscles in our system to try to increase that weight. So if you get that lip quiver, you're probably going to be overusing your traps because they've already been the first line of defense in that overcompensation pattern. So I'm going to probably go into a lot more further detail on this breathing pattern and why it matters with our traps. And then we're going to show you some correctives on how to fix this and how to maybe bring down that tone of those traps. All right, so one of the main things that we talk about with trap tightness is belly breath. I know it's really boring, but I'm going to explain it on the marker board. Hopefully it'll make sense to you and why it matters. So I hope you guys like abstract drawings because you're about to get one. So that's a rib cage. This is a side view of our spine. So when we breathe, or the way that we were designed to breathe, is by utilizing a muscle right here called our diaphragm. Okay, our diaphragm seals the top part of our abdominal cavity, and when we use our diaphragm, it's a dome shape, and when it contracts, it lowers. So when we use that diaphragm, it lowers. This is a sealed container. So if you push one wall in, all the other walls have to go out. This creates intra-abdominal pressure, which we call IAP for short. And that pressure creates stability in our lumbar spine so that everything stacks up very well on there. So when we breathe with our diaphragm, our belly expands out. It creates tension in the belly, creates stability for the low back. But what it really is good at doing is, these are our lungs that live in our rib cage. when that wall lowers down or the diaphragm lowers down, it creates space for the lungs to drop down into. That extra space or that extra room creates negative atmospheric pressure. Air rushes in. We have good, easy tidal breathing. Okay. Now, why this matters for trap tightness is a lot of us are chest breathers. We actually suck our belly in. We create less space in our bellies. And so our diaphragm actually has to go up this way, because also when we chest breathe, we lift our ribs up. And when we create less space for those lungs to expand down, we actually take away space, the lungs still have to expand to try to create this negative atmospheric pressure. So the way that we get negative atmospheric pressure in the lungs is by creating more space up top. The way that we create more space up top is by having our neck muscles or our secondary breathing muscles lift up on the ribs. Our traps try to lift up on the ribs, and that creates that extra space. So we breathe roughly 17,000 times in a day. If these muscles that are around our neck that are trying to lift up on the ribs are supposed to just be secondary respiratory muscles, meaning they're only supposed to be used in dire need when you've gotten done sprinting or a really hard workout, those are really when those muscles should be working. So if we're doing that on a daily basis and we're doing that 17,000 times in a day, of course those traps are going to be tight. They're just being chronically overworked because they're doing a job that they're not supposed to do all the time. Like what they're supposed to do is lift up on that shoulder, move the neck, things like that. So if we don't have the proper breathing pattern, we are just adding 17,000 reps to those traps, and of course they're going to get tired. So belly breathing might be really boring. It's not everybody's favorite thing to do, especially as big gym goers, things like that, because it's boring. It's not super sexy. But if you could take away 100 reps, let's say, in a day, so you did 50 reps of breathing into the belly in the morning, 50 at night, that's 100 reps you're taking away from those trap muscles. That would do a lot of work. If you did 100 reps in your biceps would get burnt out. So if you took away 100 reps, it's going to have the same effect. And over time, we pattern this better, and our body will start taking away more and more reps from here to where hopefully we can get this to be our primary breathing pattern of using our diaphragm. So give that a try. This is one of my favorite memes right here. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. First picture, they're sucking their guts in. Second picture, they're letting it all hang out. So when we are learning to try to breathe, it's really hard to breathe into your belly if you're holding that tension. Let that gut hang. Let it fall. Let it just be relaxed so that you can breathe into the belly. Now, if you want to suck it in while you're in a bathing suit, go ahead and do it. But when you're wearing a shirt, sweatshirt, anything up top, let that gut hang. All right, so now we need to get those shoulder blade muscles to be stable while we are getting upper arm movement. So everybody has one of these fancy rehab equipments at their home, or at least I hope you do. It's a pillowcase. You're going to take both arms. You're going to put your hands all the way to the deepest part of it. Let the rest of the pillowcase be right around our elbows. We're going to go up to the wall. We're going to keep that pillowcase stretched at the top and at the bottom throughout this whole motion. Then we're going to slide our elbows up, slide them back down, slide up, back down. One key here, is always make sure that you keep tension on the top part. If you lose tension here, that's okay as long as you're keeping tension on the top. The other thing that I want you to look out for is when you do this, we don't want an excessive back motion. We want to keep our back in the same plane as the wall, and it's just our arms going up and down. Whew, that one lit me up already, so try that one. All right, one of the ways that we can cure that trap tightness is simply just by reducing the weight. So I'm just going to show you a funny quick thing here. So shrugs, everybody wants to do them. They want big traps. Cut the shrugs out. So as you can see, this is a nice light weight for me. I'm going to bump up that weight. As soon as I bump up weight, you get the little lip quiver. All right. So if you're lip quivering, that means the weight is too much for you. If your traps are the ultimate or the biggest muscle moving or working, then that weight is too much. We need to lower that weight.